Hello there! Some folks may be curious about our off-grid setup out on the land. We moved out here in June and it's now mid-October, so we've only had a few months to really prepare. But yeah, I want to show you what we've done so far. This is our little hunting cabin slash tiny home. It's got a south-facing long window and it gets pretty warm in there during the day if we don't open the windows. So it holds in heat pretty nicely since we have these like straw bales insulating underneath. So we're going to try that for the first winter. We use just one solar panel and an inverter for our computers and phones and stuff. And then we have these little lights that we use. They're Lucy lights. We just set them out during the day when it's sunny, and it's enough lighting for the evening. I'd like to get a couple more. So yeah, I will next show you our water situation. So we've got a couple 275-gallon water tanks behind the house that we are going to hook up to rainwater. We haven't done that yet. So what we've been doing to fill these guys is actually bringing my trailer uphill with a water tank on it, an existing water tank full of water, and then running a hose down the hill into the top of these two water tanks. And then we're covering them with tarps to keep the algae from growing. And you can see here I have a pretty heavy-duty hose connected. There is a little bit of a drip, but it hasn't. We've had this tank up here for months and we haven't seen any decrease in water. So we have it on all the time, and it is running downhill to our outdoor kitchen, which I will show you shortly. So the hose goes downhill. This is kind of like our front yard. I've got some trees with window screen on top so that the deer don't eat the top of them. But yeah, we chose to run the hose downhill, and we have a little outdoor kitchen down there, so we have some gravity-fed water pressure. And this is kind of what our place looks like from where our house is. We've got maybe 10 acres over there as pasture, and we made this little walking path to walk down to our outdoor kitchen. Got some black currants planted. The deer are actually eating them, which is surprising. Everybody says that the deer will not eat black currants, but the deer are crazy out here, so we're gonna have some hunters come in. Alright, so here we are. The hose is up here in our outdoor kitchen. We built this guy this year, and it's pretty simple. I'll show you around first, and then I'll explain what we did. So we have some shelving here for all of our spices and dry goods. We have in either plastic tubs, like down below, or in glass jars just to keep the critters out. We actually haven't had any problem with mice or raccoons or possums or anything so far. I think it's due to our badass cats. I'd like to think so. Yeah, so we just built in some shelving. We have like a really basic dish setup right now. Just 3 buckets, one for pre-wash, wash, and rinse. But we will have like a better dish setup and just water flow in general. But we have like our silverware and stuff in cabinets and cups and whatnot, slides out. So we painted the countertop to keep mold off of it, and you can't really put anything hot on there, but it does keep the mold away. And we have there's some compost buckets. You got a little trash can, and we have a propane stove oven combination. And I learned that you have to have a pilot type of propane stove in order to use it outside. Sorry, propane oven. The stove works just fine, but the oven has a glow tube for the igniter. So I need to get an oven with a pilot. But it's basically what we did is we just have it hooked up to a 20-gallon propane. So this is the piece, this hose piece adapter is something that I had to have specifically made. I just measured the output size of the stove, and then told the guy who made it for me at the propane shop you know, what we needed, and he put a little regulator on there, which you do need a regulator. And I will say, once it gets colder, we won't be able to use 20 gallons. We have to use a larger size because the pressure won't be able to push through to the stove. So we got a 100-gallon tank. And behind there are some mushrooms growing. We got some oysters coming out. We got a lot of oysters so far, actually. And yeah, so we have pretty high pressure on the hose here. It actually is the higher the water in the tank, the higher the pressure you'll have. But we decided when we put the rafters on the two bents, they're called, you can sort of see like the back bent there with the 3 posts, upright posts, and then the front bent here. That's what they call them when you're timber framing. We put rafters across those and made sure they're level. And when we put the rafters on, we saw that we had some extra room, or we could make some extra room. So we decided to let the rafters hang over and put some 2x4 or 4x4s in the back here for a tool shed, which was much needed. We didn't have a tool shed yet. So we buried some treated 4x4s. They're actually buried 4 feet, which is what you need for the frost line. And the rest of the outdoor kitchen is actually just resting on some treated 4x4s, which are then also resting on some bricks, which are resting on holes filled with gravel. So this was a sort of a post building addendum to the outdoor kitchen because there was water that was collecting on the bottom. So ideally we would have rocks that the poles are resting on, but we didn't have any rocks you know, that are shaped to the size of each foot or of each leg. Sorry. And we actually just took some box elder, some really, you know, soft wood, and stripped it of bark, and then I let it dry out for a few months, and then I painted it with like a gloss, or I painted it with a gloss on the legs of the kitchen, and I probably will gloss the rest so it doesn't mold. And I did this just to keep the snow load and the rain from rotting wood. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure, you know, I burned it. Obviously you can see there's some burn marks there, so I took a torch and burned them, and that actually helps seal it in. So we'll see how long this will last. So far so good. It's pretty sturdy. If you want to know more about how to build one of these, it doesn't take too long. It's really easy, and we're really enjoying it. It's really breezy. We're putting our food in the cooler there, and the one thing that we are going to get is a freezer. The one thing that uses like a lot of electricity, so we're going to get a freezer set up so that we can transfer blocks of ice in like water jugs or milk jugs into the freezer so that we have a cooler and we don't need to go buy ice anymore. So that'll be really fun to not have to buy ice. Yeah, so we're really enjoying living off grid. We use the hose to bathe, and then for hot water, like for dishes, if we want hot water in the summer, the sun will give you hot water with the hose, just because the hose is so long and it can be in the sun. You can put it in the sun on its way downhill. But in the winter, now when it's a little bit colder, we put it in a big pot, just heat it up on the stove. We have a wood stove inside. We heat the water up if we want hot water inside. So yeah, we're living pretty nice. And I'll show you all the inside of the house at a later time. Right now it's not really set up the way that we want it. Essentially it's just like a couple of lofts and like a main living area, but it's under construction, so I'll show you that next year.